Hey, what's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, coming back at you on Thursday, May 13th, 2021. The first official Thursday after the release of Season of the Splicer, Season 14 of Destiny 2. Of course, as that patch went live earlier this week, there was a ton of stuff that went live along with it. We got a huge selection of patch notes and all kinds of brand new information. And as things generally go on big patch weeks, whenever a big update drops and we have a big patch drop earlier in the week, usually the TWAB itself is pretty light on content. And that rule is definitely playing true here. We only have one or two things to talk about. But that being the case, I wanted to take a little bit of time towards the end of this video to talk a bit about some of the big topics of conversation going on in the world of Destiny 2 right now. While Season of the Splicer has brought in a bunch of brand new content, there are quite a few things that Guardians are finding some issues with. And so I wanted to take a little bit of time at the end of this video to talk about that. Now, I do have to admit before we dive on into this, I haven't actually had much time to play, well, really any Season of the Splicer. I've gotten basically the first mission or two done, and that's about it, thanks to some perfectly timed computer issues. My PC basically died earlier this week, and I only really got things back up and running late Thursday afternoon, basically right before I had to go to work, and almost right before this TWAB actually dropped. And so that's the general reason for videos being a little bit on the slow side when it comes to this current expansion. I'll try to get things back up to speed just as soon as I can ensure everything's working fine. But alright, let's go ahead and dive on into this week's TWAB. First things first, this season has ushered in new additions to your arsenal from seasonal rewards, post-game of Gambit, Crucible, Vanguard, and more. But while we've gotten a bunch of brand new weapons in the game to go after, there are some returning favorites that have slipped into the loot pool as well. Bungie has added a series of returning future War Cult weapons loaded up with brand new roles, as well as some of the old class-specific swords, which have also made their way back into the loot pool. All of these weapons are of course available for free-to-play players as well as season pass holders, since they drop from the general world loot pool. And that in and of itself is actually pretty exciting. In particular, with some of these future War Cult weapons, that means the return of one of in my opinion, the best submachine guns we ever got in D2, the Stochastic Variable. This was available in faction rallies way back in the day when factions were actually important. Well, I guess that's not too fair to say. Factions get kind of important throughout the Season of Splicers in terms of story, but Stochastic Variable was one of the top performing subs back in that day. And so now that it's returned alongside a bunch of other really awesome weapons with access to new perks, I can't wait to earn one in the wild. Additionally, rare gear like the Black Armory armor set has been found in the wild as well. So if you're a player who missed out on that back when Black Armory was the main bit of content, you've got a chance to earn it permanently now. But speaking of returning gear, next week the Iron Banner is going to be back once again. And this time, Lord Saladin's bringing back some old classics as well as some brand new weapons. As we talked about in previous TWABs, we've got two brand new iron weapons and a brand new Iron Banner shotgun that's going to get access to Iron Reach, by the way. The new Iron Reach that doesn't have quite as much of a penalty as that perk used to have, and an Iron Banner heavy machine gun. This, of course, will also be accompanied by the classic D2 Iron Banner weapons, the Occluded Finality Sniper Rifle, and the Energy Hand Cannon, the Finite Impactor. All of that's going to be returning starting on May 18th at reset time and going until May 25th. As usual, Lord Saladin's going to have a new Iron Banner quest available as well, and this time around, Bungie is re-enabling the heavy weapon kill step. But this time they've tuned it based on player feedback and made it much easier to complete. It now only requires 3 machine gun kills to finish. And with a brand new machine gun in the loot pool, I'm sure you'll have that step done in no time flat. Now, if you're a Guardian who's more attuned to in real life loot, don't worry, Bungie's got you covered there. By far and away, the breakout star of this season isn't the Kell of Light, Mithrax himself. It's the adorable Smallin babies. And Bungie's definitely going to capitalize on this. They are indeed making some baby Elixni plushes that you will be able to pick up at the Bungie store. They're not quite done with them yet, but you can sign up for email updates to know exactly when the plushie babies will become available. So, if you think this is adorable and you just have to buy 75 of them, head to the link in the TWAB to sign up for your email alerts so you can get them as soon as they come out. Alright, moving on from there, we've got one quick note in the section for known issues with the current update. And it's going to kind of bridge our way into the conversation I wanted to have about a few sticking points with Season of the Splicer. You'll find under the section of issues that Bungie's currently investigating, a notion that the presage activity is currently not rewarding pinnacles as it is intended to. Really happy that Bungie is aware of that and they'll be putting a fix into it. But the second item there, Deep Stone Crypt no longer awards pinnacle gear, but still lists that it does. And that kind of hits at the heart of one of the main bits of criticism towards Season 14 thus far. For whatever reason, Bungie has decided that Deep Stone Crypt, the premier raid of the premier paid content for this year, of course, the premier raid of Beyond Light, no longer awards pinnacle gear. Vault of Glass will award pinnacle gear when that drops on May 22nd, but Deep Stone Crypt no longer does. I think this is a gigantic misstep from Bungie. For reasons as of yet unknown to us, Bungie has decided that Deep Stone Crypt shouldn't be an avenue for you to gain Pinnacle Light, even though the Pinnacle grind starts much earlier this season than in other seasons. I don't know why they made that decision. All I know is that I'm not a big fan of it. I've seen this complaint echoed throughout the community as well. And while everybody seems to have their own reasons for believing so, I can only enumerate mine. And I feel as if paid premium content, you have to pay in order to get access to the Deep Stone Crypt. It is the premier content of the currently active expansion. It should always be relevant to the endgame. You can still run it for powerful rewards if you're jumping from say 1300 up to 1310. But the fact that Deep Stone Crypt now does not drop anything beyond 1310 and also cannot be farmed for spoils anymore really sits sour with me. I mean, it's premium paid content in a system where power largely doesn't matter past a certain point. So it doesn't make sense to me to limit the utility of that content when it's been out for less than a year. It's not a good feeling thing. I know we've got those weekly story missions coming up that are going to drop pinnacle rewards. And of course, there's speculation that a weekly featured raid function might be coming somewhere down the line. But I don't think it's a great move to remove the number of pinnacle activities you have in your game, especially when that activity is the premier in-game source of loot in your raids. Raids that are dropped as a part of a main expansion, I believe, should remain relevant for as long as that expansion is in place. When the next expansion drops, sure, Deep Stone Crypt doesn't need to be dropping pinnacles anymore. But for right now, until Witch Queen, it absolutely should, in my opinion. And that's not the only complaint I've got. I don't want to take up you guys' entire night. Like I said, I only had time to jump in to this season's actual content within the last few hours. But between this, the stealth changes to Top Tree Dawnblade, there's some big nerfs there with movement speed, the overall strength of stasis, and of course, transmog. The transmog system is live right now, but it is so heavily time-gated, and I mean time, not kill-gated, not bounty-gated, time-gated, that it really doesn't feel great. While there's a lot to like about this current season, I've certainly enjoyed the little bit that I've played, and I'm looking forward to more. I do believe Bungie's made quite a few missteps in the way they present some of this stuff, and these are just a few of the things at the top of the list. Anyways, that's just some of my quick thoughts on some of the conversation going on in the community right now, and that's the news from this week's TWABs. Be sure to leave me your thoughts on all of this down in the comment section below. If you want to read the rest of the TWAB, I'll have a link to it in the description, of course. But if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. I'm out for now. Thank you, Guardians, so much for watching, and pray for my PC. As always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.